Okay, there we go. So far we have good um metrics down here on the bottom left where I see like where the stream goes out and everything. So we should be okay now, I would assume. So let me just open back up Logos Bible software. Let me get my notepad back up. Oh, I love Notepad++. It always remembers what I had going on before. Okay, so as I was saying before, when we're talking about writing an article, there are a couple different options. We have blog, right? Obviously, and again, a blog is more, we're thinking more like casual. Then we have an essay, which is more in depth, right? And then we have probably what I would just call an article, which is sort of a mixture between a blog and an essay. It's a little more formal, but not as intensive, right? Less intensive than an essay. Let me show you a couple of examples of these. Maybe that'd be helpful. And I love how I told it to pause and not do what it's doing now. And yet it's still, bloop, there we go. Black to blurry, but I'm good if you are. It's probably on your end now because everything on my end says that it's said that we're good to go. So there's probably some setting that you could you know hit to make it work. Okay, let's see. Here's a blog. Can you believe kids these days? This is more just like I didn't even like categorize this one correctly. Look how short it is. Just curious, what is our word count here? Whoa. Well, I didn't mean to. I don't know what that's about. Uh, anyways, yeah, 313 words. I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not. I mean, 313 words, super short. Um, really quick to write, and just sort of, the point of it is just to build people up, right? But then we have something like this, which is a little bit more in depth. You see, we're looking at what 700-ish words here, I would guess. It's not that it can't be that many, but it's still a little bit more than an average blog post, right? Let's see. Oh, it's okay. This is actually over 1,000 words. Yeah, that's about standard for me. If I write if I write like more of an article kind of thing, that's when we're looking at 1,000 words or so, right? So then we have something that's more like an essay. Now the essays are a little bit more in depth, of course. This is something that you'll find sometimes posted in the normal blog, but other times posted in my Gumroad account. So like an essay would be something like In Opinions Liberty. This is a good one here. See, this thing here is a monster. Even though it's test purchase, yes. Um, let's see. You see, this one is 49 pages long. Now it is a little bit smaller resolution, right? Like this isn't an 8.5 by 11 thing, but it's like probably 25, 26 pages or something like that in a normal deal. But that's what I mean when I'm talking about a blog post versus more of an essay, which is in depth. We're talking 10 plus pages, right? Versus just sort of a basic article. An article is a little bit more formal, but less in depth. Essays I usually try to throw into a PDF, right? Because they're so extensive, and it's just easier if people can have them like actually on their device as something that they can download and sort of own, right? So when you're approaching writing an article or whatever, just doing writing in general, you have to kind of determine, what do I have time in this moment here to tackle, right? What do I have time? Do I have time to write an article about 700 to 2,000 words or so? A pretty in-depth thing, but not too much. Oh, find love on the best dating site. I'm happily married, so I think what we'll do is just ban that person there. Add moderator. No. There we go. We are happily married here, my friend. So you have to determine, like, how much you are willing to commit. Time, energy, sleepiness, whatever. To be honest with you, we're probably right now, I'm probably sitting around article to blog range. Like, I don't know about writing a full essay. I don't even know about writing a full article, honestly. It's a bit much. So, we're probably looking at blog, right? So this is something that's, again, a little bit more uplifting, a little bit shorter, less than 1,000 words for sure. You don't want to be too lengthy on this because you're just trying to get something quick that people can read in their email box that's just like uplifting. So then you have to kind of determine, all right, what are we trying to accomplish here? Is there a specific thing I want to talk about? Now, there's different ways to capture this. Just to kind of show you my system here. I have on my phone in my notepad, I have got like tons of notes in here, like video ideas, sermon ideas, article ideas that I just go in and update anytime I'm feeling in the mood. Other times though, and my actual preferred method is I'll get a notebook like this. They have them at like Walmart. You can buy all different colors. And so I just get I try to alternate colors and I'll just slap a date on the side like that. Unless you get black, then you can't do nothing. I've got stuff in here from contact information from people that I need to talk to. And I've got like notable ideas. All those are done. Let me read through some of this. There was a class that I was going to teach called Untilted. Now, I'm pretty sure you can go listen to that sermon on our church YouTube thing. It even could possibly be uploaded to my channel. I don't remember, but that went from being a class outline that I actually have the outline of somewhere in here to being a sermon that I preached. Right. I have in fact, several sermons. Some of these turned into sermons. Some of these turned into to podcast episodes. Some of these turned into some of these turned into little articles, little blogs. But I've got like tons of stuff in here that I just little sketches and stuff like that, just to keep ideas going, right? And this is one thing I was talking about in the garden. I think it was you that was asking the question. That's how I kind of keep stuff organized in my brain is something like that. Now I do have, as I mentioned before, little folders of pockets, right? Of things that I'm working on at the moment or thinking about working on or or whatever. Let me show you this. I picked this up from one guy that I took a class of. It's sermons, prep, preached, and then whatever this stuff is. I'm afraid to open it. I have no idea. But buckets and chunks. So you have your buckets, which some of this stuff is literally just some of it's misspelled or whatever. But anyways, you have your potential lesson titles, blog titles, whatever. And then you have your chunks, which this is a little bit more extensive, right? I have things. There's a page, by the way, from an old notebook. I have things like written out in there that I took pictures of, and whatever, just to like keep things organized. And you put stuff in here like when you're just working on it, and then you put stuff in like another folder when it's a little bit more, a little bit more put together. And then you have another folder, things that you've already preached, where you can drop stuff in and have like stuff that you can go back and look at later. I didn't keep up with this back in that back in the day, but it was a good starting point for me to start learning how to organize some of this stuff. I've also got like collections of PowerPoints and outlines and sermons and who knows what in here, just debate charts. This is hang on. You'll like this. Rogers debate charts, last edited 2018. How to argue. Three conditions of deductive arguments. Material fallacies. Time statement. I just have all kinds of stuff. Negative arguments and responses. It's just 59 slides, by the way. Look at this. 59 slides on traditions, revelation, resurrection, Olivet Discourse. I got all kinds of stuff in there. The nature of the parousia. I was ready to go. And I never debated anybody. And I don't even know if I want to, honestly. But that was a pretty cool time. Anyways, I just got all this stuff that I was working on, and I go back there and look at it for inspiration every now and then. I have 9,717 words in my book. Yeah, it's just, you just throw stuff out there and whatever sticks, right? So, anyways, I'm thinking about doing a blog, right? That's kind of what I'm landing on. So now we have to sort of look back to the old trusty notebook and see if there's anything that kind of stands out here. If there's any of these pages that don't have a done by them quite yet, right? Like for example, here I've got the outlines of the most recent class that I preached. I've got potential sermon ideas. One of these I've actually already preached, so I kind of need to mark that off the thing, but I'll worry about that later. I've got like the preaching schedule for the next few months here at the church. A book that I want to get, a class on hell that I did, a whole series that I mapped out, a whole sermon that I mapped out, a podcast that I mapped out, notes that I took at another thing, more class notes. What is this from, actually? I actually don't remember. Here's a thing called Love Like Jesus. Oh, that was a sermon that I preached at the Taft Church of Christ. I think you can find that. It's interesting. Anyways, trying to find the last page of ideas, because I like exhaust the page before I go on to the next thing, right? Oh, that was a great leadership class that I went to. Baptism in Bass. That was a fun sermon. The future of North Broad. Wait, what is this? Oh, this was some ideas that the kiddos had. All right, where's my last page of ideas? Embarrassing. Oh, I have a whole class I did called Love 101 that I mapped out, and we've never haven't done that one yet. It hasn't materialized. Hi, Daniel. Moses went up 40 days, 40 nights, and came down, and God destroyed a golden calf. Jesus went up 40 days, came down, and destroyed a temple. Does first century temple go? 40 years, and then he came down and destroyed the temple. I don't think so necessarily. It's an interesting idea, but I don't know. There may be a parallel there. I'm not sure. It's hard to draw parallels when the New Testament authors don't specifically point them out or allude to them, So I'm a little hesitant. But anyways, that's an interesting observation. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of this stuff was thinking second Exodus motif. Oh yeah. Huh. I think a more precise connection would be the older generation in the first Exodus who murmured in the wilderness and who worshiped the golden calf, that were banned from the promised land, being, destroyed through that 40-year of wilderness wandering, and compare that to the generation that rejected Christ and rejected the apostles and the prophets, right? They're talked about in Hebrews chapter 2 and also in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 as being sort of a what happened back in the first Exodus was a copy of what was going on in the first century, with the people rejecting Jesus as they rejected God at the base of Mount Sinai and meeting destruction. I think that's probably a more precise. I think that's a more precise connection. It relates to the golden calf, and that it has to do with the rejection of God, and you still get the, that 40 years sort of mirror in there as well. Oh, here we go. There's a good one. Here's a good one I found. So this was called Joseph as something about Joseph, Jesus's dad. Now, obviously, I believe that Mary was, conceived of the Holy Spirit, but there's this interesting passage in the book of Luke that doesn't negate that at all, but it's just interesting. Here we go. Let's see. The boy Jesus in the temple. Notice this. When his parents saw him. Oh, wait. Greek is they. Hang on a second. Have I been duped? Luke 2:48. Oh, here we go. That's what it is. That's what it is. Behold, your father and I have been anxiously looking for you. How about that? So Mary recognizes Joseph as Jesus's father. Now, was he biologically his father? I don't think so, obviously, right? The whole born of a virgin thing. But isn't it interesting that Joseph was considered Jesus's dad? That's kind of cool, right? It means a lot to me because my biological father was involved in my life quite a bit, but I was also raised by my stepdad, and he was a dad to me, right? So it's kind of interesting that Luke sort of recognizes the role that Joseph played in his adopted son's life, right? Let's see. I had another idea about Andrew. Andrew obviously brought Peter to Jesus, and how cool that is. Like, maybe you're not the preacher, maybe you're the bringer. You might not be the one that actually delivers the message and has the keys to the kingdom or whatever, had the prestige that Peter had and wrote books in the New Testament. But Peter didn't come on his own. He was brought by his brother Andrew. It's pretty gift. A pretty good gift there. Let's see. Yeah, so let's do one of those. I think I already did the Joseph thing as part of a welcome on Father's Day, or around Father's Day back in June. So let's do the Andrew thing. How about that? All right. So we're going to talk about Andrew the bringer. Let's see. John chapter 1. So there we go. So the first thing we do is we open up our good old Bible here. Go to John chapter 1, the passage in question. There's a conversation between Jesus and John the Baptist. Behold the Lamb of God. Again, another thing there. Now, the two disciples heard him speak, and they followed Jesus. And Jesus turned and saw them following. He said, "What do you seek?" They said to him, "Rabbi," which means teacher. "Where are you staying?" He said to them, "Come and you will see." Joke's on them. The Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head, right? No, obviously he's staying with somebody right here. So they stayed with him, and then one of the two who had heard John speak and followed him was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. Ah, good old Andrew. He found first his own brother Simon and said to him, "We found the Messiah," which translated means Christ, and he brought him to Jesus. Jesus looked at him and said, "You are Simon, the son of John. You shall be called Cephas," which is translated Peter. How about that? What a cool little thing. So let's come up with our idea here. Now, when you're doing one of these others, essay especially, you don't have to sit down and write out an outline. Okay? You don't have to do that, but you can. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't outline every sermon, but some sermons need to be outlined. I don't outline every class. I don't use a PowerPoint for every sermon. I don't use notes most of the time, but sometimes it calls for that. Sometimes you need to be a little more precise, right? You need to, it might be a difficult subject you're approaching. It might be a little bit more touchy. And so having an outline, a PowerPoint, a general flow, something down so you know like what direction you're headed in can be helpful to drive the point home. And in an argument, you want to build it from the ground up, not from the top down, right? You want to help them get to the conclusion that you've reached by building a logical step ladder, right? Instead of just assuming that they know everything and building it from the top down and losing everybody, right? So when you're writing something a little bit more lengthy, like an essay, collect your resources, think through the flow, and really, make it good and logical. Same with an article, right? With a blog, and honestly, with these other two, sometimes as well, when you get a little bit more experience, you can just sit down and pop them out without too much thought, right? A lot of the 1,000-word articles that I write are, written in just, one morning drinking a coffee at Jack's or whatever restaurant you prefer to go to. We have in the South, we have Jack's, which is a cool little chicken place, but they have great breakfast and it's cheap. You get like a chicken biscuit and a black coffee for $4.99. And if you go early enough, they just give you the senior discount, so you get it for $4.69. It's pretty good. So, it's nice and cheap, and you don't feel like you're wasting a bunch of money at Starbucks or something. So, you can sit down and just boom, pop out a 1,000, 2,000-word article. But sometimes, if you need to be more precise, it's good to have outline. It's good to have a flow. As you see, it's not something to be ashamed of. That's why I got the notebook. Different sermons, different topics, different things you're trying to accomplish, call for different strategies, and you have to be willing to be open to adaptation, right? So let's add a new post. Let's add a new post, and we're just going to stick with a title that I came up with a while back, Andrew the Bringer. It's a little too short. The title's a little too short. This is a plugin I have that tells you like the search engine optimization requirements. So we have to expand this out a bit. A lesson in gifting. There we go. I want to go ahead and change this, the category of the post here. Probably change it to something like Christian living, is what I would say. I try not to add too many of these. Try to keep these to a minimum, these categories, so they're easier to get through. Let me show what I mean by that. If you go to my website and you go to blog, whoopsies, you go to the blog, and then you click on one of these, whoopsie daisy. Yeah, see, in recent posts, you have like all these categories here. So I try to keep them a little bit, a little bit concise so that you don't get lost in the weeds there. Okay, Andrew the Bringer, a lesson in gifting. It can be tempting. We're just going off the top of our head, right? It can be tempting to want the spotlight, right? It can be tempting to want the spotlight. Sometimes we want the glory, the prestige, the fame that comes with being a front man. Is that only 2 words? See, sometimes you have to front man. Let's see. Band. Okay, well, I think it's 1 word. Frontman definition. Yeah, it's 1 word. Okay, cool. That comes with being the front man. But not everyone has this gifting, and that is okay, right? So we start off with the hook. This is trying the, when they read this little phrase, hopefully they can relate to it enough to want to read the rest of the essay, right? It can be tempting to want the spotlight. Sometimes we want the glory, the prestige, the fame that comes with being the front man. But not everyone has this gifting, and that is okay. So you set them up with what the article is going to be about. You're talking, the whole idea is, how do we cope with not being the person that's like front and center all the time, right? And is that okay? Go ahead and affirm that it's okay. And now maybe they'll be interested in reading the rest of the article, right? Let's see. Think about the Apostle Peter. He's the most outspoken. And I think I want this to be a little bit more stylistic. So we're going to come right here. He's the most outspoken. He wrote 2 of our books of the Bible. Sometimes when you're writing a blog, by the way, you want to stray away from language like epistle, because like somebody who's reading this might be like, what? Epistle? What's that? So if you write 2 books of our Bible, we can kind of get behind that, right? He was in Jesus's inner circle. He gave, let's see, the first gospel sermon in Acts. He was a shepherd, an apostle, and a miracle worker. Uh-oh, hang on a second. Hello? Yeah, is it Caden? Okay. All right, I'll be there. Okay, gotta go help Mama with some of the kids. Hang on a second. So, anyways, we go through this. Wait, you can see the idea here, right? We're setting people up, thinking about Peter, how outgoing he was, how he's always sort of the one to talk, all that sort of stuff. And then we can go, but without his brother, there would never be a Peter. And then talk about the importance of Andrew, that, the importance that he played in bringing Peter to the Messiah and in making that connection, and how that led to untold numbers of people, right, coming to Christ. And so the whole point of this article, as you're going to see, and you'll see it published probably tomorrow, honestly, is to say it's okay not to be the person who's like front and center. It's okay not to be the person who has thousands of baptisms to their name or whatever, right? You can be the person who brought that guy to Jesus. You can have a big impact on the world by just saying, hey, come and see. Isn't that awesome? So anyways, you'll see that posted tomorrow. Got to go help Mama with the babies. Y'all have a good night.